Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of Tour Guide Tales. I'm Genevieve White, and I'm a copywriter and coach from Campion Comms and Coaching. And I help tour guides and tour operators write confident copy, grow their audience, and make more money. But that's enough about me. I'm absolutely delighted to be joined today by my very first guest on Tour Guide Tales, and this is Birman Tamang. Welcome to Tour Guide Tales, Birman. How are you?
I'm very good. Namaste, Zeni. And namaste, everyone.
Okay. Can we just, before we get started, can Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm just checking we're definitely live, but I think there is maybe just a slight delay, but I can hear in the background it started now, so that's great. So yes, welcome to Birman Tamang. Birman is a trekking guide with 15 years of experience, and he's based in Nepal. So I think we all can't wait to hear your stories, Birman. So we're very lucky to have you here, I know, because the tour season hasn't really started yet, but it will start very soon, won't it?
Yeah, it's going to start from the March. That's the
Okay.
second biggest season of the Nepal. So first one we had already finished, which is like autumn. So this is coming spring. So we are really, really excited to welcome our new guests for 2024 first seasons.
Okay, brilliant. And so during this quiet season over the last couple of weeks, what have you been doing? What have you been doing today?
I just, preparing for the next seasons, being a fit, keep running, keep fit, and also visiting like explorations of some new trekking trails. What is the possibilities of the less crowded people, the less crowded areas, or like small like virgin trails area we just finding during this off season times out. So that's my work I'm doing.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's something that you obviously must be a real priority for you in your line of work as a trekking guide must be physical fitness. So how do you maintain your fitness during the quiet season?
Well, so these kinds of things I'm gonna sing or I'm gonna explain the 3D, like you have to have a desire or you have to have like determined, and another thing is discipline. So these three things, if you manage, you'll be like fit or strength, fit enough for the trekking or running in the Himalaya or the mountains. So I'm really, really disciplined on my diet and my exercise. Who is doing I'm every day, even in the off seasons, because Kathmandu's area is like where I'm living, over there is lots of trims, so we can do lots of hiking, running, or physical fitness things. So I can do that one every day, easily accessible. So
And it's something that I've noticed with your profile on social media is you speak about ultra marathons. So can you tell us a little bit more about that? I mean, is that like running in the mountains? How tell us about the ultra marathon that you do as part of your work.
because Nepal is geographically, everybody knows that one. There's lots of hills and lots of trends, lots of mountains area. So lots of extreme runner they organizing, or some of the sponsor company they organizing some kinds of ultra marathon in the high Himalaya. Actually, they want to challenge or they want to find some extreme runner, some ultra runner from the Nepals. So on that base, I did couple of ultra marathon, which was on the Everest regions, which was start from like 3,500-meter high, then running up to the 5,500-meter high, then turn back to the 3,500s. That was the incense. Also, we can say that's one of the hardest ultra marathon in the world. So it
I
was
can
64-kilometer running over the 5,500-meter high. So it was so extreme. And I completed without any problem that one. And after that, I did probably Jenny or your audience, did you heard about like Everest Marathon? which is running from the Everest base camp and down finish on the 3,500-meter height. I did that one also 3 times. So
Goodness.
it was so nice. It also, this one also is checking your stamina, because in the mountains there is no competition with others. Compete yourself.
Yeah, I
This
can
is the
imagine.
things we doing. Yeah. If you're
Must be
doing competition
extreme.
with others, yeah. If you compete yourself,
Um,
you're gonna win.
Okay, well, that's a really interesting and inspiring facet of your job. I think as a trekking guide, you must have lots of stories to tell. I mean, there must be very extreme conditions you're working in sometimes as well, with the weather, with the just the environment you're working in. So, do you have any stories you'd like to share with our audience today about some of your experiences as a trekking guide?
Yeah, sure, why not? Actually, I have many stories, many places, many stories, many times. And some of the stories based on that kinds of ultra marathon. And some of the stories I want to share, this one is like 2021's, I after pandemic, I went to the climbing the one high mountains, which is not that much high. It's about like 6,500-meter high. So I have a clients from the United States. He also beginner climber, and I'm also beginner climber. So we are get together. Okay, let's do this. And we started from like 2,800-meter high, and every day walking, just rest, acclimatize our body, train for somewhere in the ice areas. And we got the base of that mountain. That's small peak called Mera Peak. So on that peak, base camp is 5,700-meter high. So after that, it's like extreme level, extreme climbing started. So we started from there with our camping gears and our equipments, which is really, really heavy things. Then, first night, we went to the 6,000-meter high. We stayed over there. That day, the weather was really, really bad. And it was whole night, it was snowing. And the snow was like 3 feet, 3 feet
Oh,
of the snow.
oh
And
my.
the temperature was minus 23. and
Could-
and our plan is next day to hitting the summit. We must start 2 a.m. in the morning. Then we wake up and preparing, eating something, some kinds of dry fruit and things. Then we started walking toward to the summit, and it was full snowing, and the way it was the full of the snow. And climbing, first we made the way because lots of snow, because couldn't found the way. And finally, after like 5 hours later, we hit the summit. Luckily, when we got to the summit, it's like a magic. Weather was excellent, sun rising from the eastern part, and you're gonna see the Everest with 5 mountains over 8,000-meter high. That was like best view ever in my life. So it was
Yeah,
so nice, and we turned back successfully without any problem, even in that extreme weather conditions. So it was so memorable, that trek, that trip I did one.
probably made all the more memorable by the fact you'd had to get through these conditions to get to the
Yeah,
summit. Um,
right.
and how did you feel? Because I mean, you must, when you were going through these conditions, I mean, what was going through your head? Did you ever think, "Oh, I'm not going to make it"? Did you ever feel like you were in danger? Um,
Yeah, when we were climbing, we heard in the night, also in the midnight, or almost like 3 a.m., almost in the morning times, we started hearing some avalanches is coming through this our way. And it was quite scary. So, but one side, one hand, other hand, we're saying, okay, we must go, or we can do this as a team. And I said to my team or my friends or another, helpers or like Sherpas and things, I said, we can do this, guys. We can do this. So we push and we succeed. That's
okay,
really, really,
so
incredible
big
things.
a big part of your job then, I suppose, is having to motivate people at these really,
Exactly,
stressful
exactly.
situations. You have to motivate them and
Yeah,
I mean, it must be a big sense of responsibility for you as well, though, because you are going to find yourself sometimes in dangerous situations. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, how do you manage to get around that responsibility?
because on that cases, every teams of the member we decided, okay, if this is the dangerous one, or if this is the really really risky one, we saying, okay, this is quit, because life is
Mm.
not bigger than your dream, you know. So
Yeah,
sometimes, even if you don't want, you must come back before your
yeah,
achievement. But
yeah.
sometimes we checking, okay, what is the level of the risky? If it is like
Mm,
10% only or 20% only, so we just taking a risk. So
yeah,
that sometimes that's the decision also guide, guide making that kinds of extreme decisions. So that time you have to be like really really strong decisions maker. So on
yeah.
that time has to be support from the team members and everyone also. So
Yeah, but you'll
that
have a
works.
lot of the knowledge as well required to make these kind
Right.
of decisions. Because before we actually started this live, Birman and I were talking about his walk to school when he was a child, which was Birman, wasn't it? It's 2 hours there and 2 hours back, just to get from your village to school. So, I mean, I think that growing up, with in that environment with that, like spending so much time outside in nature, you must have an incredible just understanding of your
Right.
natural environment, and that will really help you, I suppose, to be able to make decisions in
Right.
these moments, stressful situations. Is Would you agree?
Yeah, because sometimes, because when I started like walkings, or when I was born, I'm born in the nature. So over there mostly nature is like mostly places like even the rocks, which rock is good for the step in. So that's kinds of things also we have to look at all this guide. We have to check that one also, okay, how your client is walking, how
Mhm.
she is or he is breathing, and how is his conditions. So that's kinds of thing also we have to see that one. So on that
Yeah,
cases, okay, so this is the places and risky for your life. So on that times we're just making a decision, okay, let's go back or let's get higher than this. So this is kinds of things is making the guide or like extreme.
yeah.
So
Yeah, there's a lot to consider then. So as you're saying, it's not just the natural environment and what's going on there, but it's also the people you're working with as well,
right,
your
right.
customers. And so, I mean, generally, I suppose, do the customers who come trekking with you, do they need to have a certain level of fitness to be able to come on your treks with you, or would you accept anyone? How does that work?
What I'm suggesting is every clients or every persons, they can make it. First things, they need the passions and also the time, or as I told you before, need the desire and determined and discipline, these three things. When you have a desire to get like Everest base camp, you can do this, and determined and discipline during the mountain, you're healthy, your food, your sleepings. What is the discipline makes, that's also affecting when you are disciplined in the mountains, mountain also welcoming you. So
Mhm.
these three things is very very important. Fitness, if somebody have a fitness, that's plus point. Otherwise, when they following these three things, they can make it
Okay, so
easily.
mindset then is really, really important. And how do you, before you go on a trek with somebody, I mean, do you chat? Do you sit down and have a chat with your customer about, this determination? How do you know that they're going to be determined enough and have this mindset before they come on a trek with you?
Well, first, yes, we do have like kinds of chat or kinds of briefing about the trip, what we'll be and what are we gonna do, and this is the situation about the mountains and areas. We explaining them, and we also know and we can able to know what kinds of people they are. if they are coming just for the fun without achievement, nothing. So that one also we can decide that day. Okay, if you want to have like determined to get this, so we're gonna decide that day. Okay, you can make it. We're gonna do this together. So this is kinds of things. But everything we must explain. We are explaining them to the clients. What are we gonna do this? So everybody's exciting and they're doing that one.
Yeah, so they know what to expect. Okay, cool. Before we go
Yeah.
on to the next question, I'd just like to welcome viewers from around the world who are joining us. We've got viewers from Morocco, Uganda, and Bosnia, to name just a few places. So thank you all very much for joining us. We hope you're enjoying the broadcast, and don't forget to put any questions you have for Birman in the comments. He did tell me before we started he'd be happy to answer anything, so do feel free to post your questions. So let's move on, and I just want to hear a little bit more about. I mean, we're starting to build up a good picture of what you do and what your challenges and are in your work, but I mean, a day in the life of a trekking guide, is there such a thing as a typical day, or is every day completely different?
Basically, for the guide, this is their professions. Everybody knows, he been or they've been these areas like more than 100, 200 times.
Mhm,
But in the daytimes, when we are with the clients, we are like very happily showing them, leading them, which is another like satisfaction things, especially for the guide. When we get them, when we get the clients on somewhere on the viewpoint, when they see that view, when they make like satisfactions through that one, and when we saw their face, so that makes you like really, really like happy. So that's cannot explain in the word. And someone is like crying when they get an achievement on that. And also they're saying it's like someone saying the mountains makes you cry and tears in a cheeks makes the frozen. You understand what I'm saying? So that's crying, the
Mountains make you
tears from the
cry.
happiness.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. The emotions it brings about must be very, very
exactly.
strong when you've gone through that experience to reach the top. It must
Right.
be
Yeah.
amazing. Oh, and I have a question for you actually. Do a lot of people that you work with suffer from altitude sickness? Because I know that can be a real issue for some people who are climbing. And how do you deal with that?
That one is like mostly trekking areas, different elevation have a different kinds of trekking. So
Mhm,
we categorize like trekkings like basic one which is like below the 4,000 meter high, the medium one below the 5,000 meter high, and a little bit extreme one is over 5,000 meter high. So below one, like below the 4,000 meter one, which is the basic one, so mostly people they didn't get a sick over there. Okay, but getting higher like in medium ones over 4,000 meter high, because 4,000 meter is the tree level line of Nepal. So after 4,000 meter high, you don't have any kinds of tree. So a little bit pressure of the oxygens and elevations. So on that cases, what are we doing is we have like couples of extra days. That's called acclimatization day. So on that day, we're preparing for the next day. So that day, we climbing a little bit higher than your sleeping area, like
mhm,
500-meter climbing on the hills, enjoying scenery, acclimatize the body, then turn back down, sleeping on the lowlands. So that's preparing for next day. So that's really, really affecting also. So on that cases, we're doing lots of acclimatization, making a rest, drinking lots of fluent. So, and as I told you, like a discipline things. So that's working in the altitude. So normally
oh,
after
yeah.
like acclimatize, mostly people they're getting fine.
Okay. Okay, thank you. That's really interesting to know that. So it's all just about kind of gentle acclimatizing people into it, and that helps
Yeah.
them build up what they need. Okay, I have just discovered a really cool feature that I didn't realize about, and I clicked on comments and I found lots of questions from our viewers, and I've been getting my poor son to write out the questions by hand, but you don't need to anymore because I found out how to do it, Torkel, so you can go and relax if you want. So I have some lots of questions now to ask you from our viewers. So this is amazing. Okay, so we've got actor Jan saying namaste. Lots of nice comments, lots of hellos. Jeeveen
Uh-huh.
Joseph says, congratulations, keep going. Well, we will, but not for too long because we don't want to tire you all out. We could talk all day, couldn't we, Beer Man? Actor Jan says, I work as a trekking guide in Indian administered Kashmir, having already scaled heights of 5,000 meters in
Uh-huh.
Kashmir. My aspiration is to someday reach the summit of Mount Everest. Well, actor,
Oh.
maybe you could get in touch with Beerman and we could fix something up. Mirna from Bosnia says, greetings from Mostar. This is indeed inspiring. Lovely. Nice to have you with us, Mirna. Junaid Outdoors says, wonderful, mate. Discover Pakistan. This is very interesting. Danny from London says, this is wonderful, fascinating to hear. So lots of people really enjoying listening to what you've got to say, Beer Man. And we've got some questions now as well. So, here we go. Thank you, Torkel. Mirna says, how long do your guests mostly stay for a visit? What would be the optimum time to explore everything in the best way?
There is the sayings, Mirina, thank you for your questions. There is the saying, Nepal's once is not enough. That's very important things. So mostly the guests they're making like 1 month trip in Nepal. So on this 1 month, they're making one specific areas trekking, which can be like basic one depends on how many days time of them or what kinds of trekking they would like. They want like medium one, advanced one, or the beginner one. If they want to have a beginner ones, they can go below the 4,000 meter high. If they want to have like medium one, higher than 4,000, and if they want extreme adventure one, they can go to like Everest Base Camp, which is over 5,000 meter high. So depends on of the time. Mostly is they making like maximum is 1 month time, and on this 1 month they can combine with trekking, some tour, some wildlife safari, and also the raftings and some kinds of tour which is like city inside the some heritage site and also somewhere in the pilgrimage site. So that's just the combinations: pilgrimage, heritage, trekking, tours, and some rafting and some wildlife safari. So next time you can come back again in Nepal because once is not enough. Nepal. Thank you. Thank you, Mirna.
Yeah, thank you very much for that question, Mirna, and a brilliant answer, Beerman. I think there's going to be lots of people wanting to come to Nepal after listening to you. It does sound like there's so much to explore. Now, here's a question from Lorna Matthews Keel. This is a good question, actually, as well. She says, what would you do if someone discovers that they have some physical problem that they were not aware of that makes the climb very difficult for them?
We never wish this, but sometimes, yes, definitely someone is fell down because of the rocks are rolling because in the mountain region there is lots of rocking rolls. And on that cases, if somebody have like injured, so on that cases, first things we have to make safety for them, and because every guide they have some kinds of like first aid box and they are well trained with this first aid kit box also. So they're doing some first aid box first aid things, then try to go down from that area that places very slowly with someone. If it is really serious injury or something, if someone can't walk, so in that cases we can have some horses, some yaks, if somebody have even more emergencies or more serious than that one, on that cases we can evacuate by helicopter, because every clients they do have an insurance, so insurance covering that one also. So on that cases, so this is the we solving the problems.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lorna.
Okay, yeah, good question. And obviously something that you do have to bear in mind, although hopefully it doesn't happen very often.
uh, Normally,
Um,
when, yeah, when we start like walkings and every day, because every day we have a briefing next day, what kinds of way, what kinds of things we're gonna do. So on that brief we also saying to clients, so tomorrow's way is this kinds of technically, so you have to walk gently, like step is gently, so very carefully. So on that cases normally the injuries things is normally like only 0.3% only, so we are
yeah,
very
yes.
very sure in that one. Yeah.
Yeah, so being prepared and having that knowledge is just so important.
Right.
Okay, okay, maybe one more. Oh, Lorna, this is a comment rather than a question, but it's I. Lorna says I have climbed up the Andes and
And this
camped
in
for
yeah,
4 nights to
yes.
reach Machu Picchu and had to take altitude sickness tablets. Altitude sickness can be deadly. Yeah, definitely. But I did think it was really interesting, Beerman, listening to you talking about your approach of just going, increasing the altitude a little
Slowly and yes, yes,
time.
things.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense. Okay, I like this question. So, from Discover Pakistan, what are the most important basic equipment for Everest Base Camp?
Everest base. Yeah. Thank you, Discover Pakistan. There is a really, really good question because everybody want to have like what's kinds of equipment. Everybody asking me, do you need a crampons, which is like a climbing on Everest of these things, Normally, Everest Base Camp trek is one of the beautiful trek in the world, I can say. And basic equipment for is like really, really good, comfortable trekking boot and trekking pole, sleeping bag, good one, which is capacity like -10 to -20, and good down jackets. Down jacket must be also good one. So these are the things, the basic one. So because mostly on the trekking base camp, trekking on the Everest base camp trek, we were gonna sleeping in the hotel because there is tea houses and lodges. So sleeping bag is compulsory one. Sleeping bag and down jacket. So these two things is very important, the very basic one. Otherwise, normally is like trekking pants and these kinds of t-shirt or kinds of things. That's one is carrying everyone. So nothing to worry. Thank you,
And do you
Discover Pakistan.
Yes, thank you very much for lots of really good questions. So that's
Right.
great. Yeah, do most people usually come with their equipment, or do some people just come and buy the things they need in Nepal? How does that work?
That one also good questions because in Nepal you can find easily all kinds of basic equipment.
Yeah.
Well, there is not the real one because a real one is very expensive. Everybody know that one. But basic one which is can find in Nepal, that one also work, but that one is very very cheap one. So someone who want to have like their best equipments or the branded one, good one, they're bringing by themselves. But who's
Mhm.
saying, okay, just for this trip, only just for this trip, I can buy or I can hire in Kathmandu because everybody they have information before coming in Nepal, what kinds of equipment they should to bring or they can do this thing. We passing the information, so they can buy in Kathmandu, but not a best one, but the working one, and that one you can buy it that's working. So mostly people they buying here also. So
Mhm, mhm. Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, well, actually, Birman, I can't believe this, but it's almost time to finish off our broadcast, and you've just been the best guest I could have hoped for this first episode. So interesting to listen to and so relaxed and chatty. So I just have one more question to ask you, I think, before we finish. I tell me a little bit about your plans for your trekking business. Have you got anything exciting on the horizon?
you know audience also Jenny, I have a like dream. because I've been Everest Base Camp like more than 200 times successfully with my clients. And every time my clients ask me, have you been to top or have you been to summit? I said, no. So that's really, kinds of things. And I said, one day I'm going to get to the summit. I want to go there. Or that's kinds of dream. So, and the trekking business, like let's say this like conversation or my after this, if everybody is supporting me or like getting like a good business, definitely I gonna earn because summit to the Everest is really really expensive. Everybody know that one really really much. So one day probably I will be in the summit. Let's see. Otherwise, trekking business in Nepal is really really good ones. First things, you are being a fit, and also I'm really, really happy to show my culture and nature to my friends or my clients who coming from the like 1,000 kilometer far from. And I'm really happy, really satisfied when they seeing that's views, that's things. So that makes me like more satisfactions, more
Mhm.
things. So one day, let's see what
Okay,
will
well,
happen.
I really hope you do achieve your dreams. I'm sure you will, because you certainly sound as you've got all the right determination and mindset
Right.
to achieve what you want to do. Okay. Let's see. Any more questions? No, just lots of nice comments. People saying fascinating. Roz says absolutely fascinating. Lorna says thank you. Discover Pakistan says exciting session. So thank you very much for all the lovely comments, everybody. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Beerman. I'm just going to, if you'd like to find out more about Birman. I'll also share these in the comments, but this is the link to Birman's website. He's also on Facebook. There's a lot. He's got lots of beautiful photographs, and I think you get a real insight into what he's like as a guide as well. I certainly enjoyed looking at your Facebook page, Beerman, and yeah, and also on Instagram and YouTube as well. But I don't have the YouTube link handy, but I'll put it in the comments as
All
well
right.
if
All right.
you want to
Yeah.
find out more. So thank you so much, Beerman. Thank you to our lovely guests. And yeah, if you are watching this and you are a tour guide and you think you'd like to come and chat about your work, I'd love to hear from you. Please get in touch. But for today,
Yes.
thank you, Beerman.
Right.
Thank you, everybody.
Yes. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, audience. Thank you very much. Really, really appreciate that one. Jenny, this is just the beginning. Just the beginning. We're gonna do lots of things in the life. Lots of things. Thank you
Yeah,
very much. This is gonna be like
thank
milestone. Thank you.
you.
Namaste.
Thank you so much, Birman.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Yeah. Thank
everybody.
you. Yeah.
Goodbye.
Yeah. Bye. Bye.